Hello, everyone, and welcome to this episode of the Friday Charge, brought to you by Geek Studios. As always, we are your hosts, Joel and Sebastian. And today, January 23rd, 2026, we've got a lot to talk about. We're going to talk about the EX60. We're going to talk about China. We're going to talk about some FSD stuff. We've got a story about the Chevy Bolt. And yeah, we've got a couple of things I'm sure we'll get to. So without further ado, let's plug in and get started. All right, let's start with our first topic. I'm pretty excited about this one. Volvo has unveiled their EX60. So Volvo this week pulled off their wraps of the newest midsize electric crossover, the EX60. Volvo's new EX60 is built on the all-new SPA 3 platform and is marketed as the electric alternative to the company's very popular XC60 crossover. Now, a few weeks ago, Volvo kind of teased some of the specs on this, and we've covered a few, but now we have all the details, and here they are. Let's start with powertrain. There's going to be 3 variants. The entry model is known as the P6. This is the rear-wheel drive model. It has an 83 kilowatt-hour battery pack, an EPA estimated 310 miles of range, a DC fast charging peak of 320 kilowatts, and a 10 to 80% figure of 18 minutes. The next variant, the P10, gains all-wheel drive, moves to a 95 kilowatt-hour battery pack with an EPA estimated range of only 10 miles more, at 320 miles, charges now at 370 kilowatts. It has that same 18-minute 10 to 80 time. So you've gained, 12 kilowatt hours of energy, but kept the charge time flat. Sounds like a win, and it gets better. Finally, there's the top spec, the P12. The P12 powertrain has a large 117 kilowatt-hour battery pack, all-wheel drive, 400 miles of range, the same DC fast charging peaks of 370 kilowatts. It only takes 1 minute longer to go from 10 to 80, so 19 minutes versus 18 minutes. Nice. All variants come standard with an 80 amp onboard AC charger. Performance numbers are solid. The base P6 of a rear-wheel drive model, 0 to 60s in 5.7 seconds, and the P12, which is the highest power version, at 3.8 seconds, and the P10 is somewhere between those two numbers. On the interior, Volvo has gone for a large horizontal main display with a smaller cockpit display mounted high on the dash. The car is powered by NVIDIA's Drive AGX Orin platform, and a Qualcomm 8255 chip powers the infotainment screen. The car runs the latest versions of Android Automotive and includes Gemini conversational AI, if you're into that sort of thing. Otherwise, the interior feels very familiar to Volvo's other electric offerings, such as the EX90, high-quality materials, very simple design and layout, things like that. Volvo has also moved to mega casting for the construction of this car, which should simplify the manufacturing of the vehicle. However, it does raise some questions on repairability and things like that. But Volvo had a surprise up their sleeve. The EX60 Cross Country. So, the EX60 Cross Country has 0.8 inches more ground clearance than the base EX60, and you can get another 0.8 inches if you take its air suspension and raise it to the maximum setting. It has a wider track. It has black molding on the exterior. It has a steel skid plate on the front and rear of the vehicle. And kind of like the EX30, Volvo seems to be pitching this more as a light off-roader. But, I think it looks sweet. The Cross Country will be available in both of the all-wheel drive powertrains, so the P10 and the P12 powertrain. Let's talk about price. Volvo hasn't given any real specifics, but they did say the car is, quote, well-equipped at $60,000. The EX60 is slated to enter production in April of this year, with delivery starting sometime this summer. It is available for pre-order now if you're in Europe, and will be available for order soon if you're in the US. So, Joel, what do you think?
So I really like this car, Sebastian. I've been seeing this on my feeds the last couple days. I was hoping you would add it to the episode, which I knew you would, which is why I didn't do a mini charge episode on it yesterday, because I knew you would put it on there. I love it. I don't know if I love it or not. I haven't seen it all yet, but it's really nice. I kind of get Cadillac Lyric vibes from it. I don't know why.
But it's in that same category.
I think it's the taillights maybe. But you said what? Well equipped for what?
So Volvo is stating a well-equipped model can be had for 60 grand.
Well, considering we just drove a well-equipped Lyric and it was what, 61.
Yeah.
So they're right
So
there. They're
yeah, and that's
comparable.
kind
Yep.
of the interesting thing is, when we drove the Lyric, there's a clip in the video where we're going to say try to figure out competition for it, and right now Lyric doesn't have that much competition,
Nope.
but it has a lot of competition coming.
Yes.
You've got now this. You've got BMW iX3. You've got the Mercedes
CLA.
GLC,
No, it's a GLC and a CLA. You're right. Yeah.
GLC, this
Yep.
SUV, that are all kind of gunning in that similar ballpark. And
Yeah.
honestly, this on paper, at least without having driven one, they're not here yet.
Yep.
On paper, this one seems like a winner, especially kind of compared to those other three vehicles. And I think it looks good. I've seen some people kind of say they don't love the rear end.
The only thing I'm not feeling is the kind of where was it here? The Mach E door handle-ish kind of thing.
Oh yeah, everyone's doing it though now. I don't know
Yeah.
what's up with that.
They're just getting rid of the door handles completely.
That
You'll
said, I
see
did
them here.
see
Yeah.
Volvo has learned a little bit from, I guess, some of the customer feedback on EX30, EX90, like things like it has 4 window switches now
Yep.
instead of the 2 with the rear situation. It uses electronic releases on the interior door handles, but if you pull the handle further, it has a manual override just easily accessible. Um, just little things like that. I do give it a little bit of props. While it is doing the electronic exterior handles, there is at least a very clear place to grab it.
Yeah.
It's not the
Totally
Mach-E
agree.
where it kind of has to push the door out and then you grab it.
Mm-hmm.
So I'll give it a little credit there. It also has a really decent sized front trunk for, it to be what it is.
Mm-hmm.
And it looks like it has good cargo space. I think it looks good. I've seen some people, like I said, complain about the rear end. To me, it doesn't bother me, but I can see why. It kind of has a bit of that. It tapers and is very flat.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes that's a pretty controversial look to some people.
I mean, I like it. I kind of like that look instead of just the whole slope look. I kind of like the definition. And I kind of like how if you look on the back, and maybe what you were talking about, the back is kind of on this video. It's kind of the top is kind of in farther than the
Right.
bottom, and I really like that look.
Yeah, and I mean, and the interior looks excellent. You've
Here's a
got
quick
tons
one
of
of that.
different
Yep.
colors. It has an optional electrochromic roof. The rear seats, I thought this was cool. So, Volvo being the safety company, they do integrated booster seats
Mm-hmm.
on their rear seats. So, like, you can hit the little thing and pop it up, if you need a booster seat. You can get those heated on this car.
Oh, cool.
So, a heated integrated booster seat.
I like it.
Because we
I like
bougie.
it. We bougie like that. Hey, my brother has a Volvo that's 10 years old and it has one of those booster seats, and I used it for
Yep.
my nephew. I mean, it just
Yep.
works out great. Yep, works out really cool.
And the interior, like it's got the similar Volvo characteristics of the interior is made of like responsibly sourced materials, using recycled plastics and things like that. And yeah, I think too that just kind of what we've seen so far of the software looks good. It's the newest version of Android Automotive. I mean, that's expected. Let's see. Okay, they're claiming 64 cubic feet of space with the rear seats folded.
Yep.
Let me see.
So I have known it's probably just for space issues. Correct me if I'm wrong. The EX30, the screen is vertical, right?
Yes.
Okay, now it's horizontal. Okay, that was
Yes.
getting me. That was throwing me off for a minute, but now it's why it looks different. Okay.
Now this is using the ADAS system is Volvo's ProPilot. They're no longer putting LiDAR in this car. It has no LiDAR sensor like the EX90. They're moving away from that. Hopefully they continue to tweak ProPilot and make it better, because my last couple experiences with ProPilot have not been amazing.
Mm-hmm.
Do they call it ProPilot? Am I calling it the wrong name? All of these dang cars
I'll
have
find
their
out for you.
own,
Keep talking.
they all call them something similar. Anyway, I'm gonna just keep calling it ProPilot until you tell me otherwise. It's been pretty, like, the adaptive cruise component's good, the lane keep is good, but like it doesn't do the automated lane changes very well. It'll just give up and things like that. So I'm hoping they continue to work on it, continue to twist it, especially by the time this car comes to market. Um,
I can't
and
find it
yeah,
anywhere, Sebastian.
oh cool.
I put so.
But anyway, and it
Yep.
has good hardware to hopefully support it. It's got newer NVIDIA chipsets. It's got all that jazz, all the stuff all the buzzwords.
Yep.
It's got AI. It's got NVIDIA. It's got Qualcomm. It's, all the things. I saw something, it's gonna come standard with Apple Music, which is a win for a lot of
Yep.
people.
Yep.
I
So,
have
question
not
here.
seen
So, one little thing here. According to Gemini, the 2026 the core powering system of advanced driver assistance software computing in new Volvo models, started with the EX60, is named Huygen Core.
never heard of that.
Yeah.
I will
Is named
not
after a
believe
bird in
AI.
Norse mythology.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Pilot Assist.
Oh, then
Was I calling it ProPilot?
what did I call? Where am I getting this name from then?
Pilot Assist is what they're calling it. Okay.
Okay. Yeah, okay. Here it is. Pilot Assist. But I guess the whole system is called Huygen Core. The ADS specifically is called Pilot Assist. Okay, gotcha.
Oh, they also have created a new type of seatbelt, by the way,
Ooh, what's
with
that?
this car, because of course Volvo did.
Yep.
So it's basically the seatbelt has sensors and it can tell how big the person is in the car, like sitting in the seat based on seatbelt data,
Ah,
and then
cool.
adjusts the tension that it pulls with seatbelt in like a collision or whatnot.
Interesting. That's pretty smart. I like that
Um,
idea.
so anyway, of course Volvo did that.
Of course they did.
Anyway, I'm excited for this car. I'm excited to start seeing them on the road, and hopefully we get some around here so that we can check one out fairly easily. Or if
Mhm.
Volvo sees this and they want to be like, they want to send one to me, I won't
Yeah.
complain. Um,
We got a great connection with Volvo here in the city, so if we get one, I'm not sure it'll be an issue.
yeah. And speaking of NVIDIA, Qualcomm, and all the buzzwords, are you guys ready? Because you need to be. There's going to be another automotive chip shortage. Mark my words.
Womp womp. No,
So
for real. He's real.
if you remember back during COVID, you remember how we started running out of the chips to build cars? Well, guess what? I think it's about to happen again. Those active in the tech space probably know what I'm about to mention. Consumer pricing of RAM has skyrocketed over the last few weeks due to increased demand from AI data centers, which RAM is used in basically everything. It's a computer because that's where your computer stores the stuff it's actively working on.
Mhm.
It's random access memory. It's the stuff that gets accessed random. Like anyway, um, and as you did a mini charge episode, our cars are just computers now.
Mhm.
They're just smartphones. They're just whatever. And so they need RAM. And especially as we make the cars more and more complex, with more powerful ADAS systems, fancier infotainment, whatever, they need even more RAM than they've ever needed. But here's some good news. Cars typically don't run on hardware that is cutting edge, or the latest and greatest. They run on the stuff that's tried and true because it needs to last a long time, which is a good thing because AI data centers don't want the stuff that's not cutting edge.
Mhm.
But the bad news is only a handful of companies in the world manufacture these things. And those companies would rather manufacture the latest and greatest that these AI companies are willing to pay buku bucks for versus older designs where they have thinner margins. So, if you're in the market for a new car, it might be better to shop sooner rather than later because if we see another cut in auto production due to chip shortages, you should expect prices are going to rise again. Either it be just manufacturers raising prices because it's costing them more money to get the components, or dealers having a shortage of cars and doing dealer markups, or whatever else. And as we all know, cars are expensive enough right now. They're not getting cheaper anyway. So, anyway, sorry to put that womp womp in there in the middle of our news episode, but I just felt like it was worth talking about.
That's what happens when demand kind of outpaces innovation or innovation outpaces demand. You get these snarl bottlenecks in supply chains. And I mean, it's something that we're just going to have to live with. I mean, and
I
we don't
mean,
make
and
a
this
lot.
is the
I mean, they're all made overseas too, for the most part. So,
Yeah, and this is
yeah.
the stuff, there's not even just in chip production. We talk about this some on I want to say it was the new crossover, is that what they called it? The wind farm up in Wynn
Yep.
that they just opened that is under like a 20-year agreement to exclusively sell its power to Microsoft.
Wonder why. Wonder what
Yeah,
Microsoft is planning on doing.
yeah. Anyway,
Mhm.
it's the same vein of stuff. It's affecting in all fields, it feels like.
Mhm.
And the question is, when does the bubble pop?
Yep. And at a time when you're going to have increased energy rates because not only do these AI centers, use an extreme amount of data, we're also cutting back on how we get some of that energy through some of these green initiatives. So
Yep.
it's that perfect storm brewing for some time.
And hey, you want to keep talking about politics?
Let's do it.
Let's do an update on the China and Canada tariff situation. So during last week's episode of The Friday Charge, we talked about some potential for a trade agreement between China and Canada on Chinese EVs, and naturally, as soon as the video went live, that was outdated.
Mm-hmm.
Go team. Um,
It's our
So if
producer of
you're
this
curious,
episode that has this. We have issue with whoever's producing these. I mean,
yeah, I know. I'll
fired.
have a meeting with him later.
Have a meeting with him.
Anyway, now if you are curious, Joel did do an entire mini charge episode on this topic. Pretty quickly after this was happened because we knew our story was out of date. But if you haven't watched that, we're going to do a brief overcap here. So what's new? Canada has slashed its tariffs or the tariff structure on Chinese EVs, dropping from a 100% tariff, matching what the US tariff is currently, down to 6.1%. But they did institute a cap of 49,000 vehicles imported per year. In exchange, China has agreed to drop its tariff on Canadian canola from 85% down to 15%. The Canadian government has also pointed out that the goal here isn't just to import these cars. They were hopeful that this will lead these Chinese companies to drive investment into the Canadian auto market, leading to the production of these cars in Canada. The Canadian government expects that more than half of these cars will have an import price of less than 35,000 CAD within the next 5 years. And for those who need the math, 35,000 CAD is currently equal to roughly 25,000 US dollars. Now, there's been a lot of speculation on how this is ultimately going to play out. You know, this has been one of those Joel and I have been saying for a long time. It's not a matter of if Chinese cars make it to North America. It was always been a matter of when. And now we're seeing that. But I kind of feel like an early winner in all this might be Tesla, at least initially.
Yeah, I mean, I'm thinking maybe Tesla and maybe Volvo because they
Right.
source a lot of their parts from
Because there are
China.
manufacturers that are already here,
Yep.
already have a established network to sell the cars. But now, like for Tesla, you know, they can go back to bringing the Shanghai built cars into Canada.
Yep.
They don't have to do the whole import game from the US to Canada now. They can do the Shanghai cars.
Yep.
And they can have their LFP battery packs and all that jazz. And that might allow them to do more competitive pricing in Canada. And then, I mean, long term, of course, we're going to see Geely, we're going to see Zeekr and these other BYD. There's another one I'm not thinking of off the top of my head.
SAIC.
Yeah. These, I mean, they're going to be bringing cars in. Now, again, they can't bring more than 49,000.
But I think that increases to 75,000 over some time too. Over
interesting. I didn't
it
remember
does.
that. I didn't know. I
Yes.
couldn't remember if that was Canada or if that was the EU agreement that they're working on.
I think that was Canada from what I did and what I talked about in the mini charge episode. It increases over time. So yeah.
Gotcha. But really too, I mean, even just limiting it, hopefully will also, like Canada will be right and it will drive these Chinese companies to do some, you know, maybe they start importing the parts to build the cars and then actually do final assembly in Canada.
It would be cheaper for them maybe, yeah.
And once they do that, guess what? We base our US tariff structure off of final assembly.
Yep.
So if they're final assembled in Canada, yes, there's a tariff to do from Canada to the US, but it's not 100%.
Not 100%. Nope.
And unless our current administration feels the need to bump that tariff up because of this, although that would, who knows? I mean, they'll do anything at this point anyway, not to get into that ballpark. It's only a matter of time before they start going from Canada to here.
Yeah, I mean, we've talked about they're gonna backdoor their way in somehow. It's just gonna take time. It's gonna take pressure. You know, I mean, they're gonna come to Canada. They're gonna come to Mexico. They're gonna come to South America if they're not already there yet. And they're just going to slowly work their way up or down, and they will be here. And hopefully, this puts a light under some of our legacy automakers to get innovating, because you can get a really nice EV for 25 grand. And it's really good. I mean, tech wise, and I mean, we haven't driven what we've seen tech wise and what we've heard from, you know, Cal Calder, Outer Spec, and other people. That's pretty good for $25,000, and that's something we don't have yet in this country, is a $25,000 EV.
Right.
Yep.
All right, moving on to our next topic, which is not politics related. You're welcome. You could get cheaper insurance for using FSD. So, insurance provider Lemonade has announced a new policy targeted towards Tesla owners that is designed to provide lower rates for using FSD. Lemony Lemonade, wow, Lemony, like Lemony Snicket, I don't know.
Yeah.
Lemonade is using a telemetry tie-in provided by Tesla's very robust API, allowing them to track how many miles you drive using FSD versus how many miles you drive manually.
Hmm.
Lemonade insurance is billed based on how many miles you drive in a whatever period. And this new plan could cut your per mile rate by up to 50% for using FSD. Lemonade states that they will be able to adjust insurance costs based on what version of FSD is installed, what FSD hardware version your vehicle is equipped with, etc., which is very interesting to me because I could see that being very good for some people and very bad for others. Because, if Lemonades then decides that hardware 3 cars are inherently more dangerous than hardware 4 cars, for example, because they have a worse sensor suite, they could then start jacking the rates of people in older Teslas compared to people in newer Teslas. And then the fact that they call out FSD version was interesting to me too. Because let's say FSD version 14.2 comes out or is out and it's amazing. And then Tesla releases 14.3 and it regresses a little bit on behavior. It becomes a slightly worse driver. Lemonade could then choose to charge you more if your car is been updated versus if you haven't updated your car yet. And this just feels like a very slippery slope into them using other data from the car to also punish you.
Hmm.
Um, who knows? The company's argument for all of this, though, is that FSD is involved in far fewer accidents than the typical human driver, which is probably a very fair assumption.
That's probably facts. Yeah.
Yeah. Lemonade plans to begin offering this plan in Arizona later this month and then rolling out in Oregon sometime in February.
Hmm. I mean, some people will be for this because they want the lower rate. I don't know if I'm still not big. We do a lot of tracking of data, of data
Yeah.
tracking and tracking what people do and where they go and how far they're driving. I mean, we already do it now with our apps. I mean, my insurance app knows if I've accelerated too hard or braked too fast. It's just we're tracking a lot now. And it's only going to get worse. So, I mean, yeah, if you're for tracking and saving an extra 20, $30 a month, then yeah, do it. I don't know. I just feel like, what do they do with all this data? I mean, they say they're probably not doing anything with it, but what are they doing with it all? So,
Yeah, I don't this all feels very much like I don't know if you've seen any of the stuff about, like, Walmart doing beta testing of, like, demand pricing,
mhm,
where at since they've been moving to those I don't know if they have any around your Walmarts, the e-ink displays on the shelves
mhm,
instead of doing the paper tags, being able to dynamically adjust the pricing of goods based on current events or time of day or whatever else.
mhm. So, yeah, think of what we're happening now. We're getting ready to have a winter storm come through Arkansas.
Right.
Imagine if they could judge that and say, okay, instead of milk being $4 a gallon, it's now $8 a gallon, and then it goes back
Yeah,
down.
and just, we already have things like that, and now you start tying in your car insurance being like, "Oh, well, since you can't afford to drive a newer Tesla that has better software, whatever, you have to pay more for insurance." Or then
Hmm.
picking favorites too and being like, "Well, since you don't drive a Tesla,
Hmm.
you have like," which, I mean, they already kinda do stuff like that because obviously a lot of your value is based on price of vehicle, repair costs, things
Hmm.
like that. Like, that's a lot of the price in insurance. But it just feels like we're kind of is this data collection gone too far?
Hmm. But
Because
as
if
you,
they
but
start
and you make a good point there because you would think as the vehicle gets older, it's cheaper to insure, wouldn't
right,
you? So
right,
if it's an older car with older software, you think it would be cheaper, but to
then if they
insure.
can
Not,
penalize you
yeah,
because your older car is less safe than a newer
yeah,
car.
yeah.
Yeah, it's an interesting philosophy and is a general state of the universe question.
Yep. Yeah. It's it's interesting. I think personally I think we're tracked enough. I mean, heck, we got license plate cameras that almost, going down the road, you see six of them, reading license plates on the side of the road. It's a little it's a little big brother to me.
Mhm.
Mhm.
Alright. In our final story of the night I'm not happy about this one. Sorry.
Okay.
We now have a pretty good idea of what's going on with the new Chevy Bolt. So when Chevy pulled the wraps off the new Chevy Bolt back in October, everyone was pretty impressed. But there was one little piece of information Chevy kind of sprinkled in last second during the reveal, which Joel and I were at.
Mhm.
Yay. That then had everyone scratching their head for the rest of the night. GM was calling it a limited run. And everyone was like, what the heck does that mean in terms of vehicle manufacturing? I mean, obviously it means they're not going to make that many of them, but why? And GM really, or Chevy really didn't give any information. They were just like, oh, just get it while you can.
Mhm.
And there's been a lot of speculation about it. We know that they're using LFP cells from CATL. And so there's a lot of speculation of, do they have a limited supply of those cells? And so they're going to build them until they run out of cells. And then to not have to pay tariffs, whatever, they'll build them until they run out. And then they don't have to pay tariffs to import more. So that'll be the end of the run. Now we have we know what's happening. GM has announced plans to move production of the Buick Envision, which is a compact crossover currently built in China, to the plant that is building the new Chevy Bolt. GM plans to begin selling the US-made Envision for the 2028 model year, so we can expect that Envision production is slated to start in mid-2027. If you leave in some time for retooling, that would probably give us about a year and a half of Bolt production. They started building them back in November, and so that would give us this full year and maybe a month or two of 2027 before they then quit building them in the Kansas City plant to build the Envision. This move isn't too surprising due to the current gestures wildly everything. Um, but it is disappointing to me. The Bolt is pretty well loved by owners. This on paper seems like it should be a knockout for GM. GM has claimed that they expect the majority of their EV sales in 2026 to be Chevy Bolts and Equinoxes. But they've also already put the nails in the coffin. And I and it's because of current climate.
Mhm.
Current climate has made it easier to build gas-powered vehicles. Current climate is punishing automakers, it feels like, for doing green vehicles or green initiatives or whatever else. And ultimately, GM is chasing their bottom line, chasing their bottom dollar. It's if they can make more money selling 42,000 Envisions, then they're going to choose that one
Mhm.
and it gives them brownie points from the current administration because they brought manufacturing to the US.
Mhm.
Anyway, ugh.
Yeah, I mean, I mean, we just got done talking 15 minutes ago about Chinese EVs coming to Canada, and the Tyson thing is that they're cheap, and people want cheap EVs. If you look, it's basically Bolt is probably the cheapest new EV you
Yeah,
could
it's going to start
possibly
at
buy now.
what, 28?
Yeah, it's the closest thing we have to $25,000 EV, which
And
is
they've already killed it.
everybody's saying they've already killed it. I mean, they didn't even give it a chance. Like, let's see how it does, or you know, or find another line for it. I mean, I don't know why you would put so much effort into redoing it for only a year and a half. It doesn't seem, because we talked to the engineers and it seems like there was a lot of engineering and testing that went into this. That just seems like a lot of manpower and effort and money into something that's only going to last a year and a half.
I
Yeah.
think the wind shifted more than they thought they would.
Hmm. I can see
I
that.
think they went into, they would have had to start developing this before the beginning of 2025. It takes a little while
Hmm.
to develop a car. I think the wind have shifted more than they expected them to, and they are having to adjust because of it.
Hmm.
I don't think they maybe expected import tariffs from China to be as high as they are now.
Hmm.
I don't think they expected to have as much trouble maybe getting these battery packs. I don't, and I guess GM doesn't think that they will be able to realistically build them in the US in time
Hmm.
and things like that to where it makes more sense for them to bring a gas crossover to the US
Hmm.
or production of it to the US versus producing it alongside this car, producing it, anyway, moving
And
its
you can't.
production to a different country, etc. I think the winds have just shifted more than GM originally anticipated, and this is them just kind of trying to react in the way that uh, makes them the most money possible.
Yep. I mean, you can't really blame the EV tax credit because the Bolt sold really well before the EV tax credit. I mean, the Bolt was a long wait time before the EV tax credits ever were thought of or were dreamt up. So yeah, I mean, it's a shame. It's a good little car. I mean, we drove it. It was nice. I mean, if you want a $25,000 EV, that's basically what a $25,000 EV would be here in the US. So yeah.
Yep. All right, Joel, what's going on? What did we do last weekend? I don't remember. Or
Oh
Monday. That
man,
wasn't even last weekend. It was Monday.
man, it was so cold. My
It was so
God,
cold.
I put like 3 bottles of moisturizer on my face when we were done because it was so chapped. It's still dry. So we got to review some cars on Monday. So speaking of Volvo, we got to not Volvo. That was last week. Sorry, it's beside Volvo. Cadillac. We got to do a not do a. We got to review and drive a 2026 Lyric Sport. So that was one of the reviews that we did. So just don't give it away. We'll be out in a few weeks. So it's kind of some of your initial thoughts about that, Sebastian.
Yeah, I mean, the Lyric is one of those cars I feel like people kind of sleep on. And we do too, honestly.
Mm-hmm.
And then we get a chance to drive one. We see them around. I see them all the dang time around here.
Mm-hmm.
Um, might be one of the better selling
4
EVs in
today.
Arkansas, uh,
4
which
after
is
after
interesting because it's
Tesla. Yeah, I
also
would
a
say yeah,
Cadillac.
yeah.
Um, but like it's a car I feel like a lot of people sleep on, and every time we drive one, I'm always like, oh yeah, this is pretty decent. This isn't bad. Um, and so yeah, that's ultimately how that's kind of what we get into during the video as we drive it and we show off. There's some new stuff, there's some tweaks for 2026. And then after that, we drove something else.
We did. We drove. We headed on. Head on. I can't talk tonight. I told you I should have taken that nap earlier. We went on over to Volvo to visit our buddy Colin, and he had a Tesla Model S Plaid that he had just got in.
Yeah,
And that was that your first experience in a Plaid?
it was.
Yeah, because the Model X wasn't a Plaid that
Nope.
we nope.
And
So
Model S we've driven previously was just a regular old Model S long
so what
range.
did you think? Because I've been in Plaids before. I've yeah. So what do you think?
I mean, it's stupid fast.
Stupid fast.
It serves no purpose other than to just be a rocket. You know, it's not better than a normal Model S in any way other than straight line acceleration, it
And
feels like.
gives you a funny feeling in your belly. And I think I say
And
that
it
in the
makes you
video.
feel like you need to pee yourself.
Yes. Especially when someone hits that accelerator, doesn't tell a person next to him. So
Yeah, that was on purpose.
that's on purpose. Yeah. I have to remember those that are coming on. Yeah, then we came back to my house. We got some cool new floor mats in. We had a video just came out from Last Fit. I ain't gonna lie, they're really nice. Even my kids even mentioned that, Dad, these are really nice, or these are better than the cloth ones, or these are nicer than the other ones you had, and things like that. They're really nice, durable, really good. Check out that video if you're interested. We have a coupon code, discount code in there for you to click on if you want to get your own. They make them for all makes and models, so it's just not EVs. Type in your car. You got them in there. Chris Bo has some for his Lightning, says he loves them too. So yeah. So check those out if you're interested in need some new floor mats. And I think we're gonna wrap it up because Sebastian's cold. I think is getting the best of him.
All right. Well, that's a wrap for today's episode. Thank you all for plugging into the Friday Charge. If you enjoyed today's episode, don't forget to like and subscribe to us on YouTube. And if you're listening to us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your audio media, tap the follow button on that platform, leave us a rating, comment, like, whatever else. It really does help us grow. So long, everyone, and we will see you on the next episode of The Friday Charge.